So it's a little bit cold today. Coming up to 1:30. And I've got my blanket on. And today's video is about dyeing the fleece at long last. So I hope you enjoyed that and you get some inspiration from it. I wouldn't say any tips at the moment because doing the 4 main colours, yes, that's fine. Anything afterwards when I'm testing the dye on the fleece may be less helpful because I'm just experimenting. So also I've been doing a bit of quilting, so I have a little video on some of that, and I think that's will be mostly what I do this week, and then we'll catch up with maybe actually dyeing some fleece next week, hoping that this test has gone well. I shall show you the results at the end of the cooking process, which is actually going on at the moment. So yeah, it's been a bit of a scary day, and I was looking forward to playing with colour, but also I was nervous about playing with the dyes. But yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So I've actually crossed that little bridge now, and therefore, because I've made the dyes, I have enough dye stock to keep me going for quite a while, mixing and matching colours, etc. Yes. So what I'm doing here is getting my safety equipment together, which includes a mask, some rubber gloves, and a measuring spoon which came with the kit. I also have a 4-cup jug, all the jars ready with the dye pots, and a clean cup in which I'm going to mix and use this syringe to make another colour. So I'm just putting on my mask here, and you can also see I've got an apron on as well. I am using one of my trays with a piece of kitchen towel on top so I can test out the colours, and it's also a bit of protection for the desk. I boiled a kettle of water and I'm filling up the jug to 4 cups, which is a litre, 1000 millilitres. So I'm filling up the magenta jar with the hot water, which only allows me to put in 300 millilitres, so I'm going to have to change the amount of dye I put into that jar. So yes, I'm thinking about it. And then I'm picking up the magenta dye pot, not forgetting to put on my gloves, because obviously you're going to get dye all over the place, all over your fingers. In fact, I did get a little smudge on my cheek. How? I don't know. So I'm using my measuring spoon. I'm going to use the 5 millilitre and the 2.5 millilitre spoons to get 1.5 teaspoons of dye to put into the hot water. 1, sort of getting it all over the place here, and a half. Now if this was, I'm using a spoon which I cannot use again for anything else, so this one is just for dyeing, and I'm mixing it up. Now if I was doing 4 cups of hot water, I would need 2 teaspoons of the dye, and as you can see, the dye is covering my rubber gloves. I've used that spoon now, and I think I'll be going to wash it shortly. And as you can see, the magenta is now finished. Look at the gorgeous colour, the saturation of that colour. And so from this point onwards, I shall be making all the other 3 colours in much similar process, with 3 cups of hot water and 1.5 teaspoons of the yellow dye. For the black, 2 cups of very hot water, 2 teaspoons of the black dye. Sorry, 1 teaspoon of the black dye. And that's the mixing container now. And you can see the colour on the tissue already, just how the colour is going to turn out. So I'm going to put that dye away now. And I shall get back to you with the other colours. As you can see, I made up my colours, but after this point you will find that I was washing my equipment in a bowl of water, which turned into a nice lilac-y blue colour. So therefore, let's see what happens next. So the normal ratio is, if you have 600 grams of yarn, you will need 600 millilitres of water, and therefore you probably need a cup of citric acid. Well, I've got 2 blooming litres here, I think. Have I? 2,000 millilitres is 2 litres. Oh dearie me. So I'm going to use one. I'm just going to use one of these for now to see what happens. Testing, and be careful of your citric acid. You're going to have to cover that somehow, Clary. I'm just going to, I should have diluted it as well, which is not a good thing. So I'm probably, and when I'm saying a cup of citric acid, I mean a cup of diluted. So I have seen people put a teaspoon of citric acid in with their dye. So I'm kind of doing the same kind of thing, you know, with their dye powder. So I would probably say that's about 2 or 3 teaspoons in with 3 colours. So I'm hoping something comes of this. So as I say, you're supposed to cook it. Cooking activates the dye. But what I'm going to do is simply leave it there and see what happens. Probably best to leave it for a few hours. I'm thinking, what did the ladies who use natural dyes do. They probably cook them as well. But let's try a different way of doing things. Now, as you can see, we have a nice bluey colour, pale blue colour. I think this is going to be quite nice. And this note is a mixture of cyan, magenta, yellow and black. So I'm going to leave that now down here somewhere, and I hope I don't kick it over. I might get some cling film for it later, and just to do a little bit of cleaning up. Now, I did promise you that I would use this to do a dye mix. So I'll come back in a bit and with a dye mix I want to do. So on my computer I have a shade card of all the colours in hex code, also RGB code, but what I am doing is actually converting to a different code using the cyan, magenta, yellow and black. So I have a colour I want to trial out. Wanted to do pink really, but I think I'm going to do something like this dark moderate magenta. Heather. So I have a recipe there which I am now going to convert into dye. So this is the scary bit now. So I've got myself a little glass of water to clean my syringe in. So in this recipe I only need magenta, yellow and black, and I'm getting a pink ring there already. Oh dear, never mind. So with my syringe, she says, hopefully not use the syringe yet, right, okay. So out of the magenta, this is still quite warm, it will cool down, but I'm just looking over at my recipe. So let's do this as carefully as we can. I have right, I think that's the amount. And I press that back into my cup. Get as much of it out as you can. Okay, so I'm just going to give that a little clean out. So put, you don't want to get any pink and yellow, do you really? Tissue, just wipe. This is a messy job, which I am finding out to my cost. Now for the yellow, I need a very tiny drop of yellow. So slowly open that up, put your lid down, a very tiny drop of yellow, in fact hardly shows. In fact, I've got more than enough. Let me just squirt a little bit out. Whoops. No, just a tiny drop more. That's still just slightly too much. I'm going to be here all day doing this. I think what I might do is just do it up to the next level and go very slowly with this. I think that's enough. I think that's what will do it. And then wash it in there. Okay, put the lid back on. And then this has the most in it, which surprised me quite a bit, but there you go. Black is in a lot of colours. In fact, it has the most. Hang on, because it's not the top end, it's the bottom end. I'll just show to the light. This is hard to see because it's obviously black. I think that will do it. And you give that a wash now. I'll give that a proper clean later. And where am I going to put that? Yes, you guessed it. In with my citric acid and my wool. So, now, what I decided to do was give this a little mix up. Yes, you can see there's a dark heathery colour coming in that, can't you? So what does it look like on the paper? Dark and heathery. We'll see how that dries out. And obviously when you dye the wool, it'll be lighter. And also when you spin the wool, it'll be lighter. But that is a dark heathery purple. So I've done it, she says happily. Right, I'm much more careful with the fleece because I'm supposed to mash it around just in case it felts. So there you go. So this now will be kept for a next dye. It is literally, where are we? 146 millilitres, and that will do 146 or 150 grams of fleece. I haven't weighed the fleece yet, so we're going to have to work out the differences in that. So I'll put that back in there for now. Put my cup and spoon there. That one can be reused to make another dye. And this dark purplish colour, as you can see here, is the colour that you see on the pansy and weed background fabric. So it's all exciting, isn't it? Later I'll show you what became of the yarn that I'm practicing with, although it's certainly not done the right way. Next time we'll do it the right way. I decided to transfer the fleece and the liquid into a Pyrex bowl, which I'd got particularly for dyeing, and I put it in the microwave for about 4 minutes, checking it every 1 minute. And now I'm going to leave it with cling film on for the rest of the day to cool down. So then we'll see if the water has cleared and whether the fleece has taken up some colour.